Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Luxunvur's story. Now, as we pick up where we left off, we're going to jump ahead just a little bit, unless you have something you want to do.
Nope.
Alright, so we proceed to the next day. Where you wake up on time, you get yourself some breakfast. Let me roll your temp HP, because it's gonna matter. Okay. In the middle of the week, the golems, it seems, do their best for breakfast. And you are treated to massive omelets filled with meats and vegetables and lots of hotcakes and other pastries. Breakfast is very hearty and filling, and you get 10 temporary hit points.
Man, you roll these good almost every time.
Yeah, I guess that's how it goes sometimes. The golems are on their game.
Hell yeah, Golem's looking out.
But after that, you make your way into Ariakis' sanctuary. Where, as you arrive, you find Wash and Kyo are here as well. And Ariakis stands before them. As you enter, he nods and he says, "Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you prepared for your next stage in training?"
Yes, master.
And you see Wash and Kyo also assent. Perfect. Follow me. And he begins to head through the two massive stone doors that are always slightly parted, but you've never been between them before.
Oh.
As all of you as all of you follow Ariakis through these doors, you find yourself looking at a waterfall. You're at the top of it. Immediately in front of the waterfall, seemingly suspended out in space, are wooden poles. Lots of them. Ariakis looks at the poles and at each of you, and he says, "The true test of your balance is how well you can focus on other things while also maintaining your footing. You must always be on balance, even when unprepared." And he steps out and hops to the first pole, 1 foot on it. And then hops to the next pole, 1 foot on it.
How far does the drop look if you miss a pole?
You don't see the bottom.
Ah. Okay.
It's frightening. And as he is out on the poles, Wash, who is next to you, says, what if we slip?" Ariakis turns, and he just says, "Don't." Wash looks at you.
I try to give her a soft smile, like, it'll be alright.
Do you feel like it'll be alright?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Then roll me a persuasion check.
Boy, my best stat.
Yep.
Natural 20.
Yeah, you are
All
reassuring. You have faith in Ariakis and the system, and you prove it. You give Wash the best possible response to her question. She nods after swallowing. Kyo steps up next to Wash, and he steps out onto the first pole. And I'm going to roll.
Oh boy. I need the nat 1. That needs to happen.
No, he rolled a 15.
Okay, good enough.
So, Kyo carefully hops out from the edge of the waterfall, which is slowly cascading over this cliff edge and out onto the first pole. And he's a little unsteady on his feet, but he does stand on the pole. And then he hops to the next one, following Ariakis. Wash says, I'll go last.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'll feel better if I see you do it.
Okay. Remember, like climbing the tree, just be calm. And I'll go try to jump on one.
Roll acrobatics.
Okay. 10. Oof.
Okay, roll me a dexterity saving throw.
14.
All right. You hop out onto the first pole, intending to just land on it with one foot, but you misjudge the distance just slightly, and the pad of the ball of your foot slides off the end of the pole. And there is a moment where you feel yourself falling, that you are going to fall. But you maintain the calm, cool, collected nature that Ariakis has insisted you have, and you manage to center yourself as you're falling, and you land with your hip on the top of the pole. And it hurts, but you don't fall. You hear behind you, her eyes are wide. Her mouth is slightly open, and she says, when you look back, she says, "Are you okay?"
Same smile I gave her earlier. Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Roll acrobatics again.
Oh, it's a biff. It's 7.
Roll me another dex save.
Jesus, that nat 20 just blew everything up.
Yep.
17.
Okay. You attempt to gracefully stand on the pole and hop to the next one. And you do hop, but with a 7, you miss the other pole entirely. And as you are floating out into the air, you turn your upper body, your torso turning to face the pole. With that 17 on a dex save, you manage to reach out and hug, your right arm and elbow capturing the top of the pole. And it hurts, but you are hanging onto the top of the pole. Your feet are dangling, and you are hanging from this pole. You have good leverage to pull yourself up, but it is definitely not a good start.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Not at all. Not even remotely.
I'm going to roll a wisdom save for Wash, because she's seen you fail twice.
No, Wash, please. This is not what I wanted to happen.
She's frightened.
No!
Yeah, she's scared. You watch as she steps to the edge, and she looks down over the waterfall. You hear the sound of feet landing on a pole, and Ariakis says, "Fear not. It takes a knack, but no harm will come to you in my classroom." And Wash looks up at the instructor, and you can see that her eyes are wide, and she is trembling a little bit, but she takes a deep breath, and she will try and make the acrobatics check, which is unfortunately a disadvantage because she's frightened.
No, Wash, please.
Okay, she rolled a 14.
Okay, much better than any of my rolls.
It's actually one underneath what Kyo rolled. So, even though she's frightened, she steels herself enough to make the jump, and her feet land, both of them at the same time, on the top of the pole, and she almost teeters over the front side of it, but she stays on it. And Ariakis, looking down at you, says, treat the side of the pole as the tree and climb back up.
Okay. I will attempt to walk the pole like the tree.
Roll a wisdom plus
get up.
proficiency.
Wisdom plus proficiency is perception. We'll roll that. 14.
With a 14, you do manage to kind of almost frog leg yourself up onto the side of the pole. And it's not comfortable, and it's super not reassuring. But you do manage to climb your way back up to the top, and you are standing on the pole.
Okay.
Ariakis looks to the three of you, and he says, "We have a long way to go." He kind of lets out maybe a little exasperated sigh. And then he hops to the next pole. Now, I need you to roll me another acrobatics, but this is going to determine how well you handle basically the journey to wherever it is you're going.
Oh God, please. 19. Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, okay. Let me roll for Wash. Still at disadvantage.
Fuck.
Okay. And I gotta roll for Kyo. Okay. The three of you follow Ariakis, and every 10 minutes or so, you hear the sounds of Wash struggling as she has a poor landing on a pole and almost tumbles off. But she has yet to actually fall, as same with you. Kyo, it seems, is the most adept at this trick of the three of you. He is hopping from pole to pole, as one might expect a monkey from tree branch to tree branch. After about 30 minutes of this, you finally arrive at an area where there are still poles, but well, how do I describe this? It is as if they are nestled in a massive bed of moss and vines, and the poles themselves are only 10 feet up from the bed. You don't know where the bed came from. As you are approaching it, it's as if it was hidden by mist, and then suddenly it was here, below you. As you stand on these poles, standing over this bed of moss and vines and lichen, Ariakis turns to each of you and he says, "Now, I want you each to do your absolute best to knock each other off your pole." To rein in one's emotion and control one's fear is the only way to succeed in the ways of a monk. And I'm going to roll a d3. Okay. Having done so well, Ariakis suddenly steps higher on the pole, and then he lashes out with a palm strike, slamming into Kyo's chest. And he is hurtled off of his pole, completely caught off guard and surprised. And you just hear, "What?" as he falls into the vines and moss. I need to roll a couple things for Kyo.
Uh-oh.
Wash is watching wide-eyed as where Kyo fell into the moss and lichens, you see his eyes are screwed shut. The long brown hair that's normally tied in a pigtail has been yanked apart by the sudden force of Ariakis' shove, and his head is just a fucking mop of brown hair sticking in all directions. But as he lays there, the vines and the moss writhe and move as if they are lifting him back up
Oh, that's cool.
And he is perched back atop his pole. As he feels himself be righted, he slowly opens his eyes again. And he says, What just happened?" He looks at you and he says, What did he do to me?"
He hit you.
"I remember that. Okay." And he, pulls his hair out of his face. And Iriakis says, "As you can see, there is nothing to be afraid of but fear itself. Should you mistrust your own abilities, the vines will not help you." Now, begin. And I would like you to roll me initiative, please.
Oh, the initiative's still on there from the old one?
Oh, hold on. Now roll initiative.
Hot garbage.
Okay.
Hot garbage.
You are going last, it seems.
Beautiful.
The three of you are in a cluster on these poles. A tight cluster within about 5 feet of each other. You will have to extend yourself just a little bit to land a solid blow. And so, mechanically, when you make an attack, you need to make an acrobatics check to not fall off your pole. If you receive an attack, you need to make an acrobatics check against the attacks to hit, basically. We're not rolling damage. We are just trying to knock each other off. All right. Are you ready for this?
I am ready.
Wash looks between Kyo and you. I'm going to roll a d2 to see which of you she attacks. She's going for you first. Perhaps because she's more familiar with you. She kind of braces herself. I'm rolling acrobatics.
She falls, doesn't she?
She immediately just, she tries to lurch forward on the pole with her foot lashing out towards you, and her other foot just gives way. And she falls straight off the pole and into the vines. I need to roll a thing. Okay, you watch as she begins to twist about and panic. And the vines, instead of pushing and lifting her up, they kind of part a little bit, and she sinks a little deeper.
Uh-oh.
Kyo, seeing this happen, opens his mouth, and Iriakis says, "Focus! Focus on yourself." And Kyo shuts his mouth and looks at you. Okay. And he will kind of prepare himself to make an attack on you. All right. Here we go. Nope. I need to make an acrobatics check.
He falls too.
He fell too. Oh my god, he rolled a 3. All right. You stand unchallenged as Kyo and Wash both into the vines below. I need to roll for... I didn't expect this to be so hard for the NPCs. Hold on. Okay. That's better. Kyo is... As soon as he hits the ground, he's already being lifted back up, and will be back on his pole next turn. As it is your turn, and you have no targets to attack, you look back and forth between Kyo and Wash, and then you hear... Pay attention. As you suddenly catch sight of something flying towards you. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
I was gonna ask you if I could go if Iriakis was on a pole, because I was gonna try to knock him off, but I guess this works.
He's attacking you.
Dex save?
Mm-hmm.
24.
You successfully dodge the thing. Now roll me acrobatics at advantage to maintain your balance on the pole.
22.
Oh, yeah. You kind of... You, like, with one leg still planted on the pole, you tip your torso back to dodge the throwing star that flies past you. Your other foot lifted up, balancing the counterweight, and then you can soundly put your foot back down, and you remain on your pole. Do you have anything you want to do on your turn?
I mean, can I hold my action to, like, attack Kyo when he comes up?
Yeah, you can.
We'll do that.
All right. It's now Wash's turn. I need to roll to see if she calms down. A natural 18. Okay. She seems to steel herself as she sees Kyo is being lifted up, and she just, all right. And you hear her say in Aquan, this fucking, I've never seen these pieces of rock. She's just very unhappy. But she stills herself, and the vines begin to lift her up, and she'll be back on her pole next round. It's now Kyo's turn. He's on his pole. The vines lift him back up, and as he sets foot down, you can release your held action to punch Kyo.
Alright, so acrobatics to make sure I stay on my pole, yeah?
Yes. DC is 12.
13!
You succeed. You're a little wavery, but you succeed. Go ahead and roll your attack.
Strike. 16.
Okay, he has to make an acrobatics DC 16. Immediately, as you lash out and Kyo just settles back down, you slam into him, and he... Oh, not fair! And he's back off the pole and in the vines. As he did still have an action, I'm going to say he can throw a dart at you.
Okay.
To try and knock you off your pole. It's a disadvantage, though, because he's now prone. Let's see. That's a 2. That doesn't even... The dart flies off into the distance. That's his turn. I need to make a save. Hold on. Alright. As Kyo remains flat on his back in the vines, which slowly begin to wind around him, he failed his wisdom save. He seems frustrated that he just immediately got knocked off again. His hair is just a huge mess. It's almost like an afro now.
I love that thought.
It's now your turn. You hear Iriakis say, "It seems as though I must be your challenge." And he throws another dart at you. Roll me another acrobatics.
God damn it. Acrobatics.
He's not going to let you sit there while your other opponents are just on the ground. Yeah, you succeed. Roll me a dex save.
Dex save. 24.
Yes. You keep your footing. You dodge the dart as this dance continues. You can hold your action again if you like.
Yep, I'm gonna knock Wash off when she gets up.
Okay, Wash does manage to get back up on the pole with the help of the vines on this turn. Go ahead and roll an attack.
Acrobatics first? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a natural 1.
Okay. As you lean forward to hurl a kick or punch toward Wash, it's up to you. You feel your foot right off the wooden pole. And you fall face first into the vines and moss below. And they are immediately writhing around you. Go ahead and roll me a wisdom save. To keep your mind still and focused. No. Actually, no. Okay. You feel as though suddenly you are being swallowed as the vines open up and you suddenly sink. Because you landed face down, you're almost blinded as it's dark.
Yep. Do not ones.
It's Wash's turn. She doesn't have an opponent as you've fallen off. So she is going to get attacked by Iriakis. Hold on. Okay. Let me roll this save. Okay, Wash manages to dodge the dart as well. Does she fall off anyway? No.
Yes.
No, she does not. Wash remains on her pole, finally steeled a little bit at what just happened. Now it's Kyo's turn. I need to roll a wisdom save for him. Okay. You hear and almost feel the vines gathering as they collect underneath Kyo and begin to lift him up. And now it is your turn. Roll me a wisdom save.
Yeah. Oh boy. Everything was going so well.
It was, but now it is not, as you suddenly are in darkness. And it is, for a moment, you can't help but feel afraid, as you no longer see the light of the weird plane around you. And you are unaware of what is happening above you. I have some dice to roll. You don't need to worry about what happens, because you are unaware. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right.
Damn it.
Okay, so as you feel yourself sinking deeper, you suddenly feel the vines react as something heavy on the vines near you.
Okay.
And it is back to your turn. I need you to roll me another wisdom save.
At 20.
Okay. With a natural 20, that's 2 successes. So suddenly the vines, you feel that fear creeping into your chest, and you just will it away. You solidify your thoughts, and as you focus on nothing, the vines relax around you like a soft bed. And as though they relax and all that light comes flooding back, you find yourself turned over, and you look over and you see Wash and the vines near you, as she is struggling, but you are being lifted up. And so you'll be back on your pole next turn.
All right.
It's now Wash's turn. Hold on. At the end of... Okay. Fucking Wash struggles and begins to be swallowed by the vines. It's now Kyo's turn. You are about to be on your pole, and so Kyo holds his action to attack you. However, Iriakis does throw a dart at him, so I'm going to roll. See how Kyo does. He succeeds on the dex save. Let's see if he flies off the pole anyway. He does not. Alright, so he holds his action. You are settled onto your pole. But you see it coming as Kyo lashes out with a kick. Let me roll. Let me roll his acrobatics. Okay, he managed to stay on his pole. Hold on, here comes the kick. I need you to make an acrobatics check. The DC is 7.
15.
Yeah, you succeed. He's not even close. Attempting to stay on the pole, you can see it like neuters all of the threat out of the kick, and you just kind of tilt to the side, and he misses. It's your turn. What do you do?
Wash is struggling. Kyo's on pole. I guess I will attempt to hit Kyo. Acrobatics check.
Alrighty.
10.
10?
10.
DC's 12, my boy.
Goodbye.
Yep. You raise your leg to try and counterattack at Kyo, and whoop, you fall in the vines. At this point, you almost hear Ariakis is laughing at you guys.
I did so well.
As all of you are on and off your poles. Wash is lifted up onto her pole. And as she lands, she will attack Kyo, who spent his reaction attacking you. Let's see how she does. She immediately falls off her pole. She rolled a natural 1 in her acrobatics. All right. I forgot to ask for it. I need you and her to both make a wisdom save.
24.
All right. You will be back on your pole next round. As the vines... It's almost as though you had just fallen down and the vines helped you up, and then they're immediately, like, still ready to catch you again. All right. And Wash will also be back on her pole next round. She rolled really well. All right. Kyo, looking at the two of you, he prepares to hold an action to throw an attack. You're not sure at who, but Iriakis throws a dart at him.
Is Iriakis on a pole like us?
Yes, he is. You could attack him if you wanted to.
I'm going to.
Kyo succeeds on his dex save, but how about his acrobatics? Yes, Kyo stays on his pole as he dodges the dart coming at him. You are back on your pole.
I'm going for Kyo.
Okay.
I'm going to attack Iriakis when there's nobody up here.
Gotcha. Kyo was holding his action to attack Wash, but as you throw the attack, go ahead and roll acrobatics.
22.
Yeah.
Okie-dokie.
You stay on your pole. Go ahead and make your attack.
Alright. 8.
8. Okay, he has to make an 8 DC. I don't know if he can fail it. Hang on. No, he can. He can fail it. Okay, he has to roll bad, though. He rolled a natural 20. Okay, so you land a blow on Kyo, but he manages to just shrug it off. And he says, I was going to attack. All right. And then he will do a sweep and twist, and he's going to try and attack you back. His acrobatics, he stays on his pole. Here comes the paunch. 8. He rolled the same as you. You go ahead and roll. You need to make an acrobatics DC 8.
I got a 17.
Okay, yeah. You trade blows with Kyo for a moment, as Wash is settled onto her pole, and as she sets her feet down, she looks at the two of you and she says, "Oh, don't forget about me!" And she's going to lash out toward this time Kyo.
Nice.
So her acrobatics is
Goodbye.
and don't forget about me! Into the vines. And you hear her cursing in Aquan more. As she kind of lands a little, almost doing the splits as she was trying to throw a kick. But the vines, she'll be back on her pole next round. It's now Kyo's turn. He like looks at Wash and says, "Oh, I guess she didn't need the help." And then he looks back at you, and he's going to attack you again. Acrobatics. No, he's not.
He's falling?
He twists to lash around with a kick, and he slips, and you almost hear this bong bong as his legs bounce off the pole on his way down. You imagine that probably hurt a little bit, and he is in the vines below.
I want to try to beat Iriakis to attacking me. Because there's nobody up here on my turn, and he's going to.
Okay. As Kyo gets swallowed up by the vines because he fails his wisdom save, go ahead and roll me acrobatics.
Okay. Bye.
You reach down to your belt to grab a dart. And as you do, the anticipation of whipping around to throw it at Iriakis, you turn, but you turn just a little bit too quickly, and the slick pole is not forgiving, and you feel your feet just whoop, and you are falling.
Still throw it at him like Kyo did.
Okay, roll an attack.
At disadvantage.
Yeah, roll an attack at disadvantage.
Cool. Dart. Disadvantage. Fucking 15.
A 15. All right. Iriakis will roll an acrobatics to stay on his pole. And then he will roll a dex save. Okay. He rolled a 21 on the acrobatics. Now for the
Jason
dex
clearly
save.
stays. I don't think he could fail.
Versus a 15? He could.
But
Okay, so the dart does hit him, so I have to roll another acrobatics to stay on the pole. He failed the dex save.
oh, thank God.
Okay. It was a 15 to hit.
Yep.
He met the DC.
God damn it!
He rolled a 15. So, as he was preparing to throw a dart at you, the dart catches him by surprise, and you hear he almost falls off. It's close.
Can I give you an inspiration to subtract one from that?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
if you have
I
an
want him to
inspiration.
fall. I have one. I want him to fall.
Okay. All right. You spend the inspiration. He rolls a 14. As the dart hits him, he had his arm raised to throw the dart at you, and the sudden pain and the surprise makes Ariakis the Unbroken slip off of his pole, and with an alarm, falls into the vines. You hear, as this combat ends with that, just this quiet. Well done. And the vines are lifting Ariakis back up onto his own pole. And after a few moments, as all of you get your own bearings, you are lifted back up onto your poles as well. Ariakis has a smile on his face.
Fuck yes.
As Wash and Kyo are lifted onto their own poles. And Ariakis is looking over the three of you. He says, "These will be your exercises for the rest of the day. Do not push yourselves to exhaustion." That is the wrong song. Whoa. Super foreboding. Hold on. Sorry.
Like, what is about to happen?
That's not what I wanted. There we go. That's better. Ariakis looks at the three of you and he says, "This will be your training for the rest of the day. Practice attacking, remaining upon your pole, and balancing. The three of you are doing well. Keep it up. And we will take a break here in an hour, but resume." And so, that is the training that you maintain today. And I would like you to roll me an acrobatics at advantage just to see how you handle this.
Okie dokie. 18.
18, that's really good. Okay. It is about 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you all finally begin to make your way back toward the main training area. You feel tired, not exhausted, but tired. And you have a few bruises from falling off of the wooden poles, but you are no longer afraid of losing your balance and falling into the abyss. The vines, which you imagine are likely there the entire way, have made you feel not brave, but comforted in that Ariakis meant it, that nowhere here would you be hurt under his watch. And Wash seems to have also gotten over her own fears. Kyo, on the other hand, seems frustrated, as he didn't roll so well, and he didn't handle the acrobatics challenge as well as he started out. His frustrations are kind of visible on his face as he is trying to let it go. But when you return to the doors and stuff, he is quiet and scowling. Ariakis notices, and he looks at you, and he says, "Why would one feel anger over such an exercise, do you think?"
He's probably angry at himself. He didn't live up to what he expected he could do.
Why do you think that is?
From what I saw, he did really well up until that point, and then it started to go downhill. So maybe he couldn't keep up what he was doing from the start, is what I assume.
The most important lesson all of you will learn in my class. You cannot rely on anyone but yourself. Truly, you will look out for you. As Merigard contractors, it will be your responsibility to act both as the fist, the eyes, and the mind for your contracting team. The judgment of my students should be as good as it can be. But if you allow it to become clouded with such emotions as anger or frustration, you allow folly to take over. And I do not mean the druid instructor. Ariakis steps up to Kyo, who looks a little sheepish now that his emotional state has been brought to the forefront.
Mhm.
Ariakis looks at him, and he sets his old, gnarled, basically tree bark looking hand on Kyo's shoulder. And he says, "You should trust yourself and only correct that which is actually wrong. And in this case, the only thing that is wrong is your pride is getting in the way. We all fall, clearly." And he looks at you. We all make mistakes or assume things. Levi, I applaud you for catching me off guard. That, too, is a valuable lesson. Be on your guard, always. That is all I have for you all today. You've done well. The evening and afternoon is yours. So?
Tell him have a good evening. And as I walk to the door, Kyo and Wash are walking with me, or
Yeah,
are they like,
they're leaving.
I'll look at Kyo and go, you have any plans for the evening?
Keo looks at you and he says, I was thinking about going down to the ship stool, get myself something to drink.
Care if I tag along?
If you'd like to. I want to forget about this, well, today.
And I'll look back at Wash. Care I invite her?
If you'd like.
And then Aquan, I'll ask her, you want to come grab a drink with us?
She looks at you. Aye, sure. That sounds fun.
Right. I'll look at Kyo and lead the way.
As you're beginning to leave, Kyo says, What was that? It sounded like bubbles.
Oh, right. She struggles with, Common, and Aquan is her native language.
You see, like, Kyo's eyes kind of widen in understanding, and he says, Oh, that's why you've been so quiet. And Wash, like, is right there looking at him. Yes. Right, okay, I assumed... Alright. Yeah, lead the way. He follows you.
Oh, I told him to lead the way. How did I get fucked into this? Alright, fine, I'll lead the way.
Sorry. My own confusion. And he walks out, realizing you probably are not entirely certain where the ship stool is.
Nope.
Alright. As you leave, and we head out into the city of Ferrum. One moment here. I would like you to roll me a d8, please.
D8. Wow.
A 3. Man, you never roll on a counter. Okay. As you make your way down through the town, you push your way through the Pharaoh Market, which is in the afternoon is full of people selling all sorts of foods and supplies, and not so much fish anymore, but more the baked and cooked foods. So it smells very much of seared meat and roasting chicken and vegetables and those sorts of things. Lots of spices in the air. And just the smell alone is the sort of thing that makes one hungry. And as you're making your way, Kyo says, "Okay, I hope the ship still has something good on the menu tonight."
Does it change often?
The bartender likes to experiment, I guess.
Oh, that...
Yeah. He does his best, you know. He kind of like gives the waving hand to side, like sometimes it's good, sometimes it is not.
Right. I suppose we have that to look forward to.
Like, Kyo looks over his shoulder at Wash, and he says, "Have you been to the ship still before?" And Wash says, "The ship's... No. I think not." And Kyo says, "You'll like it. The Bard students sometimes come down and play, and they're better than they give themselves credit for."
Uh-oh.
And as you make your way... Sorry.
It's fine.
People walking behind me. Let me, pull up the tavern as you make your way into the ship's stool. It is right off the docks. You cannot miss it if you are getting out of a ship. And as you enter, it is quite busy. Team's not here. Whoops. Let me pull up. Okay, so while you are here, go ahead and roll me. I'm sorry, one moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead and roll me a d12.
D12.
8. Okay, roll me a d4.
Right. 1.
All right. The three of you, fresh out of monk training, you all are wearing your monk regalia, which is basically just, loose linen clothes with the Marigard filigree all at the end of the sleeves and such. The ship's stool, with a half-orc bartender at the bar, is busy. There is no music being played at the moment, but as you enter, you've been here before, I believe. Am I wrong?
Have.
Yeah. The half-orc bartender looks up and sees you, and he says, "Oh, you again? How can I help you?"
What's on the menu tonight?
He looks a little sheepish, and he says, an oil pepper pasta, if you like it.
Yeah, I'll take one.
And he nods. He looks at the other two, and leaning over in your ear, Wash says in Aquan, "What's pasta?"
It's long pieces of starch.
Okay.
Boiled. It's real good.
It's good? I should...
Yeah.
Okay. In common, she says, "I'd like one." And the bartender nods. And lastly... I'm working right now. Lastly, Kyo says, "Make that 3. And a few ales, I think." And what do you two want?
You're funny, are you?
I try. I'm just... Really, you can have one if you'd like. I'm just fucking around.
No. And Aqua will look at Wash and say, "Have you ever had an ale?"
She looks at you. I don't know.
Do you like sweet or bitter?
It depends. Both, sometimes.
Right. Okay. Uh, we'll start you with an ale.
All right. And as the bartender takes your order, he gestures out and says, "Go find a table. I'll get y'all set up." As you are looking around, roll me a perception check.
Woohoo! Bollocks.
Okay, let me see how hard this person is to spot. You have a 9 to contend with. Okay.
I don't see him.
You don't see them. All right. You find yourselves a table. Would Levi look for a table in the back, or would he be closer to the stage where they might play music, or towards the front where he can see what's going on?
Probably music. He's probably looking to relax after training.
Yeah, that's fair. You all slide into a booth, as the ship stool actually has booths, right up next to the stage. And as the tavern is fairly busy, with that terrible perception of 9, which really isn't all that terrible, it's just not great.
It's pretty terrible.
An individual you've never met suddenly is at the end of your table, as you've just sat down and all of you are like getting settled in. It's another Dragonborn.
What
White
color is he?
Dragonborn.
Oh, okay.
And she looks over the table and at you, and you notice that she is wearing black leathers, but they are also marked with the Merryguard insignia on the sleeves. And she says, "I haven't seen any of you around. I especially haven't seen you, and I think I'd notice." And she says that to you.
Oh, you mean the monk students?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to... and is it a problem?
No, I'm just curious. I'd heard a lot about monks around here. That they're, well, the best the Academy has to offer.
Grab a seat. Let's talk.
The Dragonborn woman slides in next to you, and this is what she looks like.
Why are all of your fucking character art so hot? I hate it.
Because that's what people make art of.
That's fair.
She slides in next to you, kind of pushing the half cape aside, and she looks at you and at the other party members, and she says, "I'm Sabratha."
How do you spell that?
Sabratha.
That's what I was thinking, but it could have been very different too. Right. Sabratha, it's nice to meet you. I'm Levi.
I am Wash, and you can call me Kyo. Fascinating. So what's 3 monk students not either sleeping or training? I heard all of you are put through the ringer.
Most days we are. Today's no exception.
She is she's rolling an insight to try and get a read on just how tired you all are.
Pretty beat after the exercise, I would say.
Yeah. So I can't rope you into a dance, can I?
Roll me a persuasion check.
She's not super persuasive, but she'll try. Her charisma's not super high. That's a 10.
Let's see. Let's see how tired I actually
am. You are on the verge of exhaustion.
Yeah, but this is gonna see if I can muster up.
Oh, sure, yeah. If you decide to, yeah.
Yeah. Sure, I'll dance with you. Why not?
Well, when the music gets here, I don't want to dance to
Who,
nothing.
you know who's playing tonight?
No idea. But the ship still always has a show.
Indeed, I was here once before. It was pretty good music.
Uh, as that this conversation begins, basically, the bartender stops by and sets 3 ales down on the counter, and then Sabratha looks up at him and holds up a finger, and the bartender nods and fetches a 4th ale. Before any warning can be given, Wash has taken a sip of ale, and in Aquan she says, "Oh, it burns! Hi, it burns. It's burning. Why is it hot? It's cold, but it's hot."
Aquana reply, it's supposed to do that. Once you drink some more, it goes away and your body just starts to relax.
You better not be fucking with me.
No, and then I'll grab my mug and just take a big drink of it.
Okay. You can see that her face is screwed up in scrutiny as she does not seem pleased at the ale burning her. Kyo is watching this happen, as is Sabratha, and Kyo says, "Is that her first ale?"
Yep, that's her first one.
And she drains the whole thing and sets it down like forcibly, and she says, "It's still burning."
Just breathe.
You can see her shoulders are like up by her ears. She's very tense. And it doesn't taste great.
Nope, it does not. That's not what it's meant for.
Kyo says, "What is she saying?"
It burns. It doesn't taste good.
Yep, that's ale. Yep.
Yeah, I forgot to. I didn't really think about it since it was her first one. That's on me. I'm sorry.
She looks up at you, and out of your corner of her eye, you see Sabratha just she has a lot of teeth in her mouth, so she whenever she talks, it's almost always like she's through gritted teeth, even though she seems to be in good humor. But she's laughing through them at the moment, and Wash says, I don't know if I like this, but I guess we'll find out, right? You said it goes away. When does the relaxing happen?
Give it a minute or so. I didn't expect you to down the whole thing. You'll probably feel it soon.
Okay. And she is holding onto the mug. Her arms, her elbows are out to her sides. She seems very much not angry, but anticipating what the hell is going to happen. As that happens, the bartender brings a pitcher, and he says, I figured you all could... Oh, well, here, let me top you off. And he pours Wash another ale, and then sets the pitcher down in the middle of the table and says, I'll just dry it up a tad, shall I?
That sounds good.
Right. Food'll be open in just a few minutes. And he goes back to the counter.
Oh, you haven't eaten today either. Oh, Nope.
It is at this moment I need to roll a con save for Wash.
Or two.
Okay. She rolled a 14. So she's not immediately sloshed. You can see almost the muscles in her face soften and her shoulders loosen a little bit over the next few minutes. And it seems as though she stops thinking so much about how much the drink burned and instead just is there and sitting there waiting, she's trying to perceive the changes as they're happening. But you can't really. You suddenly are them. You suddenly are drunk, basically.
Right.
Sabratha, who's next to you, says, I didn't realize there was another dragonborn of your color around.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Where do you think I'm from, if you had to guess?
If I had to guess, Drake Shores?
Unfortunately, no. I'm somewhere much, much colder.
I'm no good at guessing games. I don't have the patience.
That's fair. Not everybody is, so I'll just tell you then, if it makes you feel better. I'm
It'll
from
save me the
the
trouble again.
frosts, the northern frosts.
Oh, that's as cold as it gets.
Sure is.
Well, what made you come here? Warmer
Um,
climates?
I just wanted to get far, far away from the family. Wanted to learn more than what they had to offer in my hometown, which was next to nothing.
And so the path of the monk. That's fascinating.
The monks are good at staying calm, focusing, and while I do want to learn everything there is to learn, if you can't control yourself and control your mind, there's no point in learning it.
That's fair. That makes sense to me.
And I can't really tell from your get-up. What are you here for?
She smirks, and she kind of lifts a white talon up and flicks the holy symbol out from underneath her cloak. I study with Treat.
Do I know who that is? I don't think I've met them or heard of them yet.
Roll a history. You might remember from the portraits.
Oh, a 20.
Okay, yeah. You remember seeing the name Varian Treat beneath the cleric instructor portrait in the main hall.
Oh. Cleric, huh?
That's right.
And who do you follow?
She loops that talon around the chain beneath the holy symbol and holds it out to you. Go ahead and roll me a religion check. The symbol is a dragon spiraling around a blue circle. You have no idea. Not even the foggiest.
I'm gonna be real with you now. From the Northern Frosts, I have not studied much religion.
She kind of frowns as she looks at you, and then smirks again, and she says, Terras, God of the Blue Sun. She speaks through me in my prayer.
Interesting. How does... I'm curious on how your class works. Everyone worships a different god, I assume.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I don't know. There's no confliction with each other's gods there. You guys just work all together, or...
Well, I don't mind educating those that might not know. We all worship our own deity. Treat, for example, is a follower of Near, the god of storms. As is Sigona, the class favorite.
Oh, Sagona. Huh. I just went on a free agency with her.
She's strong-willed. I'll give her that. Me and her don't always get along, as it were.
He seems to want to fight all the time.
I can respect that. Ferocity is valuable. But there is a word to be said for those who are careful about where they throw their weapons and might.
I can attest to that.
But let's say, for example, there was a cleric of Ana, in our class. It doesn't matter what deity you serve. What matters is that you reach out to them and ask them for their gifts. And if you are compelling, they provide you the magic you need. Treat shows us how to reach out, when the best times are, what the important prayers are. If you're not a religious sort of man, I wonder if that means that you are blind to the God's strength and what they give us.
Oh, no, not at all. There's a lot I don't know. So much I don't know. And while I know that you clerics are capable of great things and your powers are strong, I don't know how it works. You just offer yourself and they say yes. How do they determine your worth?
You have to prove it. You devote your life to their followings, to their creed. For example, Lady Tyrus, the great dragon of the blue sun, demands ferocity and vigilance. To control your own situation and act as she would, with bravery and without fear of those weaker than yourself. If you have the power to take what you want or what you need, you do so. That's what Tyrus teaches.
We see. I guess that makes sense.
Should I live my life by her creed? She happily provides me the magic I need to defend both what she believes and what I believe.
There are so many forms of magic in this world that's kind of baffling.
That we agree on.
I experienced, you know Tabernac, yeah?
I heard of him. I've not met him. Haven't had the need to.
Well, I've talked with him, and I've got to experience magic through his eyes, and that was something, all right.
Magic through his eyes. What does that mean?
Exactly as it sounds. I looked through his eyes as he used a spell.
I see.
I got to see time pass, centuries and seconds.
And how did you get to be so lucky that he would favor you with such a favor?
There was a piece of marble being sold on the street, claimed to be a relic of a fallen city, forgotten in time. And I know he likes those sort of things, so I purchased it and gave it to him.
I see. A gift. All right, that's a good way to get yourselves in the pockets of those important around here.
Right?
Was it a bribe?
No. I expected nothing in return. I thought he would like it and enjoy it.
You just felt like doing something out of the goodness of your heart.
Yes and no. Well, of course, it gains me favor with him, but I expected nothing to come of it except kinship, and then maybe something down the road that turns into something. Who knows? Everyone at the academy has knowledge and information. You say you haven't spoken with him yet, said you've had no need to, but he is brimming with information. We all can learn something from everyone in the academy.
It sounds exhausting.
Sometimes it is.
Well, fair enough. I can't say I have the patience to go talking to everybody around here. I just don't like people enough.
People or people?
People.
And he kind of like gestures to him being a dragonborn.
I, wherever I can mind on, I don't mind talking to, well, our kind. There's always some common ground. Even if it's just indigestion. As this conversation has happened, Kyo is like watching you two talk, and he says, "So you're just here to talk about how what? You don't like people? Or I'm sorry, I haven't really been listening." And Sabratha looks at him and says, "Clearly, no." And then Wash, who you haven't noticed, but has had a lot of ale, as the pitcher is nearly empty.
Sorry about that.
Huh?
I typed in chat that my headset died.
No, I didn't see it. Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
We have a common place we could talk between our kind, and that was it.
Right. So after that happened, Kyo says, "So you're just here to talk about how you don't like people?"
No.
And Sabratha just kind of looks at him with a squint, and he says, "I'm sorry, I wasn't really listening."
Come on, boy.
And it is at that moment you notice that Wash has had a lot of ale.
Oh shit! No.
The pitcher is nearly empty. And Wash is leaning on one elbow on the back of the booth, and her cheeks are, well, as red as they can be on a Triton. And she is kind of doing that thing where you slightly bobble as the room is spinning for her, and she says, "This has been... I don't..."
And Aquan, I'll ask, is the burning gone?
"Oh, yeah. It's nice and cool now."
Right.
"Is it warm in here?"
One moment. And I'll look to, do I... No, okay, I'll look to Sabratha and go, I think I'm gonna have to rain check on that dance.
"I see. All right. Your friend there looks a little under the water, as it were."
Clever.
I try.
How long were we talking? She drank the whole fucking thing.
"Well, our food's not here yet, so it couldn't have been that long."
Oh, right.
"I get the feeling your friend there likes to drink."
She's deserved first drink.
"Oh."
Yeah.
And it is at this moment that the bartender has arrived with your pastas. And they are set down on the table. And Wash says, in Aquan, "Ooh, like little eel." And she immediately begins to, like, turn the plate to make the pasta wiggle aggressively.
Oh. Right.
As you're trying to sort out what to do, Sabratha looks at the bartender and says, "That one needs a clava, or a coffee, whatever you got." And the bartender nods, picks up the pitcher, and leaves. What do you do?
Shoot. Are you able to eat? Can you eat that? I'm actually gonna taste mine before I say that. Actually, now that I think about it.
Okay, let me roll to see how the bartender did. Natural fucking 20.
Okay.
This
Wonderful.
this oil and pepper pasta it's very flat and wide noodles, settled amongst what look like the equivalent of like red and green peppers that have been grilled, and it smells very aromatic. And as soon as you bite it, it is delicious. It's savory, and the pepper that's nestled has actually infused its way into the flavor of the pasta itself, and the oil just makes it all taste like it blends very well. It is delicious.
Right. I will help Wash eat some of it so she maybe can come down a little.
I'm going to roll a con save for Wash, with advantage because you're helping her.
Okay.
As you're trying to help Wash, she scoops. She doesn't use the fork that's provided.
Oh.
With 3 fingers, she scoops up a large handful of the hot pasta, which doesn't seem to bother her. And as she scoops it into her mouth, she wiggles her head back and forth and slurps it up. It's spattering oil and pepper all over you, her, the table, and Kyo. And as she does, she says, "It's just like eating seaweed."
That's nope. That. Wait.
Oh, I like this. This is tasty. And she leans forward and just goes to town way faster than you think she should.
What? Nope. Not like that. Wash. Slow down.
Sabratha, who's next to you, kind of is leaning on one arm on the table, and she says, "So this is what a disaster looks like on the way to happen."
Yep. Nope. This is exactly what it looks like. Oh.
Would you like help? And she like reaches over and starts trying to like pull the plate away from Wash, who, with remarkable deftness as a monk student, just reaches out and catches Sabratha's wrist, pulls the hand toward her, like does a crazy monk twist of the hand with 3 fingers and pulls the plate out of Sabratha's hand and says, "No! My seaweed!" Except it's in aqua, so Sabratha says, "Did she just cuss me out? I don't understand what just happened."
You said it was her seaweed.
Okay. And Sabratha like leans back with her hands up. "Your problem."
Right. Shit. Wash. No, here. And I reach out and I try to pull the plate away from her.
Okay. Roll me a persuasion check.
You know I'm so good at.
I mean, it is what you're doing.
Oh, okay, 17. Not bad.
She looks at you with a small frown, but she does let you pull the plate away. And she says, "I like it."
And Aquan, I'll say, "You can have it back. You need to eat it slower with this." And I'll pull up the fork.
"You sound like my brother." And she takes the fork. And she's, like, very poignantly, like someone mocking nobility, scoops the fork in a very prim and proper way into the noodles, twists it up, and just very carefully and daintily pulls it up to her mouth. And she's in Aqua, and she says, "Like this?"
No, I don't give a fuck how you eat it. It's
Fine.
I don't want you choking on it and getting a mess. Look, you covered Kyo in oil.
Kyo, who has been watching all this happen and has since he got spattered in oil, he has grabbed a few of the napkins from the table and has spread them on his shoulder and leg for any further oil spattering, and is watching this happen with an amused look on his face, and he says, "Oh no, I'm fine. By all means."
That was an Aquan.
Oh.
So
He just is like watching this happen then, and he doesn't say anything. But he does have an amused look on his face.
Yo, look more than that. What are you doing?
What? Look what?
Nothing.
I don't understand what you've been saying this whole time.
Right. I told her she splashed you with oil and she's making a mess and she needs to eat a little slower.
Oh, yes, right. That was very rude of you. And he kind of frowns at Wash, who looks at Kyo, and when she sees the frown on his face, her eyes widen and she looks very sad. And she says, in common, "Oh, I very much apologize." And Kyo says, it's fine. Really, it's just oil and peppers. Don't make her look at me like that. Oh my god.
I didn't know she was gonna take it like that. It's fine, Wash. We just be a little slower. You don't have to be prim and proper. Fuck all that. That was uncommon.
I understand. And she seems to relax a little bit. And then she kind of like picks up with her left, she picks up the mug and like baps it a little bit too hard on the table, and she says, "Could I have more?"
No.
Okay. Why not?
The more you drink,
It was just tasting good though.
right, and that's when you stop. You've had enough. The more you drink, the harder it gets to control yourself.
She frowns at you with like a big pout.
Oh, I know. Be mad at me all you want.
It is at this moment that the bartender arrives with a tall tin-like carafe that smells of vanilla and hazel. And he sets a few mugs down and he begins pouring out cups of clava.
Right. You can have this though, and I slide it up to her.
She looks at it. It's brown.
Tastes real good.
I can't see through it like I could the other. It was fun. I could see you. And she's like holding the mug up in front of her face and looking at you through it, even though it's empty.
Right. Just taste it. I think you'll like it.
I won't. But she does take the cup of clava offered. And she sips it. You can see the look on someone's face when they don't want to like something, but they do. It's like a frown that they're trying to force. Okay.
Right.
In Aquan, she says, "All is forgiven," and she drinks the clava.
Right.
Well, that has been a very interesting few minutes.
Right. So maybe we don't have to rain check on the dance if she's doing all right. I just thought I'd have to carry her back to the academy, but if she's doing all right,
We'll see. And then she, like, to the bartender, she says, "Can I get a sandwich?" And the bartender nods and heads back to the bar.
disaster averted, right?
For the moment, Kyo says, as he picks up his own fork and finally starts eating his pasta. Do you eat the pasta?
Yes.
As I said before, it is delicious. Your temporary hit points can be replaced with 12.
Oh yeah.
You get an additional 2.
I'll take it.
I mean, 10 to 2 isn't huge, but it's 10 to 12 isn't huge, but it is something.
It'll definitely help.
The bartender knocked it out of the park. As you enjoy your meal, it is during the meal that a bard comes into the tavern.
Is who I think it is.
I don't know. I need you to roll me a d4.
Okay. Be poetic justice, isn't it? Yep.
As the door to the tavern opens, you don't realize it's a bard right away until you recognize which one, as it is a massive furred figure. Yithrun marches into the bar, And he says, "Who is ready for entertainment?" And he holds a lute over his head. And the entire bar stops. All conversation to look as this gnoll marches through the bar, past the counter, and up onto the stage. And you see a lot of people are giving this gnoll looks. Roll me an insight check.
Yep. And 9.
Okay. You can't really get a read on the bar. There is not... I will say you don't sense there is hostility or malcontent. It seems like mostly it's curiosity. Which is understandable. As Yithrun climbs up onto the stage, and he begins to play. He doesn't sing, but he plays, and the songs that he plays are the sort of songs you'd expect to tell a story. And he is good. He is really good. As Yithrun is playing, and the room begins to fill with merriment as tables are shoved aside, and people begin to dance to this very rhythmic but story-like music that's coming out of Yithrun's lute. And he is stomping his massive feet on the stage to create percussion. Sabratha looks at you and says, "You owe me that dance. Now's the time. Unless you're afraid."
Before she could say anything, he'll stand up and scoop her up by the arm.
Good! Let's see what you've got.
He's probably not good at dancing.
Okay, so there's a couple ways that we can choose to do this. If you are trained in performance, you can roll performance. If not, you can choose to roll in acrobatics to try and just...
We're going acrobatics.
Okay, if you're rolling acrobatics, I need you to also roll just a straight charisma check.
Charisma first.
Okay.
Okay, 18.
Okay, so whatever your acrobatics roll is, it is in time with the music.
Okay, 16.
All right. It is not a dance anybody's ever seen before. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's cool, and it's in rhythm to the music, so it fits with the dance. But it is not a dance that anyone has seen. Maybe it's a lot of tumbling and acrobatic, almost like breakdancing, those sorts of things. But Sabratha is moving along with you. She does appear to know how to actually dance, so she is dancing near you and is amused. It seems as though she is laughing a lot at the crazy antics of your dancing, but she is also impressed at the fact that you are performing acrobatic maneuvers in time to a Knoll's music. I'm going to make a note.
As he's dancing, he'll just go, why did the word just leave my head as soon as I'm about to say it? He'll just say, this is what the Frosts have to offer.
When you've taken a moment and is in between songs, Sabratha looks at you and she says, "Maybe we should show you how the nobles of Terracona dance, just so you have something to go off of."
Lead the way then.
Okay. Let me roll for Sabratha. She rolled a 19.
Oh shit.
She's going to start. She starts to show you a Terraconan noble waltz, which is, it's a dance that Dragonborns dance. So it's very, it's rhythmic, and the motions are very almost primal or primordial. There's a lot of stomps that are in tune to the rhythm of whatever music it is, but the motions themselves are not fast. They're very intentional and slowed and in tune with whatever song that is being played. So it's almost as though the steps are exaggerated and slow. But as the two of you are dancing and she shows you the steps, I'd like you to roll me performance at advantage as she's helping you.
Okie dokie. 20.
You now know the Drake March. You've learned to dance. When you...
Not what I expected today, but I'll take it.
Yep. But because you know this dance, anytime you try and perform this dance, you have advantage. And the DC is low for you to complete this dance. So,
Yeah.
Sabratha teaches you how to dance. A very specific dance, but you learn it quickly and you learn it well. Do you dance the whole time that Yithrun the Knoll is playing? Because he's up there for a while.
After like the first couple of songs, I'll peek over my shoulder to see how Wash is doing.
She is... What is she doing? I'm gonna roll. She's on the dance floor.
Oh.
She is dancing with Kyo. She's drunk. She's not sloshed as she was before. But she is having a good time, and she's speaking Aquan very quickly, which you hear her saying things like, I haven't danced like this since I was like 15. I haven't been out. It's been such a good time. And Kyo is mystified, but has like like the smile of a guy who's having a good time, but is trying to focus on what he's doing. Because it looks like Kyo is not a proficient dancer either.
Okay. If they're having a good time, I'll dance the whole time.
Okay. Roll me a con save.
Oh, shit. Should have saw this coming.
Yes.
18.
18. While you do take a point of exhaustion, that is all you take.
It could have been worse.
It could have been worse. You dance for a good hour and a half as Yithrun performs his set. And finally, at the end of it all, he kind of slams the lute down into the stage with a resounding final percussive wang, and he then stands up and he says, "This has been my entertainment. Thank you all for watching." And he gathers up the hat that is full of tips that have been cast into it, and he kind of happily marches his way with heavy across the wooden dance floor. And as he's going, the tavern's applauding, and he's getting a lot of like pats on the shoulder and pats on the back from people that are in the bar. You get the feeling that this has happened before, but it's something that doesn't happen often.
Okay. That's good.
And as the kind of the frivolity and the music dies down and the tavern kind of resumes where it was before Yithrun's set, Sabratha, Kyo, and Wash Sabratha's not exhausted, but she's worked up a sweat from dancing and such. Kyo and Wash are like leaning on each other, and they're kind of like leaning on you. They're all saying, Wash says in common, "I'm tired."
And Aquan, right. We'll head back and get some sleep.
Before you leave, Sabratha looks at you and says, "Thanks for the good time. I learned a lot."
Did you know? I feel like I've learned more than you did.
I have my ways of paying attention.
Good. Maybe I'll see you here again.
I look forward to the next time.
Indeed. And I'll give her a nod and help Wash and Kyo out the door as we head back to the Merry Guard.
As you head back towards the Merry Guard, a day full of physical exertion and then some celebration, and you hear Wash and Aquan say, "Oh, there's like a rock in my stomach."
Oh, right, you're gonna be sick.
What do you mean? How do I not be sick? I don't want to be sick.
Yeah, it's just gotta happen. You have to let it happen.
Oh. Is this from that
Too much of
clava?
it, yes. No, not the clava. From the 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 hot drink, the
Oh,
burning drink.
I was afraid you were gonna say that.
Yeah, this is what happens when you drink too much. So I tried to get you to stop, but you drank the whole thing.
It was fun.
Yeah, yeah. Let's just hope you don't feel it tomorrow.
Okay. Thanks. And she like well, I mean, you're all heading the same direction, so you all kind of make your way toward the monk's dorm. And Kyo like looks at you and he says, "She's not gonna be in class tomorrow, is she?"
We'll see. We'll see.
Fingers crossed. Maybe Tritons drink different.
I fucking hope so.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. And I'll take Washington to her dorm and kind of just put her on the bed.
She looks at you, still like dizzy, and she says, "Inokwan, thanks for showing me all this. You've been really nice, and I appreciate it. I haven't had this much fun since I was home."
Right. Well, I'm glad I could help you have that fun. It's never feels good to start somewhere by yourself.
Well, that's true. I wanted to thank you, and she tries to kiss you.
I put my finger on her lips. You can do that tomorrow when you feel better.
Oh. She looks confused.
Nope, it's nothing against you. But the drink makes your thoughts fuzzy, and if you're going to kiss me, I would prefer your thoughts be clear.
Oh. Roll me a persuasion. Or deception. Up to you.
No, this being honest.
I know. I'm just saying your character might not be.
10.
10. You see she looks a little hurt, but she nods, and she says, "That's perception, sir."
That is perception, so it's even lower.
It's like a 5.
It's a 5.
Yeah, she looks hurt, but she nods, and she says, "Okay,
My heart.
I'll see you tomorrow."
Right, I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll head out to my dorm.
As you head out to your dorm, that is where we will stop tonight's session.
You broke my heart, Echo.
You rolled the 5. Oh, man.
Every other persuasion check was so good, except the one that really mattered.
That's how it goes sometimes. Thank you all. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for playing with me. I had a great time. I look forward to next week. That was an interesting session. All right. You okay?
Yes, everything was so good. This whole session was so good, and then we end with that. Fuck
Big
me.
oof.